Just sing the extended version. Bring that Steven Universe game.
No, I'm not going to do the Steven Universe theme. This is a Code the Person live stream theme. Welcome to the stream, everybody. So glad to have you here tonight. I'm joined with who are you? Who's the man I married?
Your husband.
That's right. And the person who I apparently forced to watch Steven Universe. We're getting on to. Was it like 9 years ago now?
Yeah, you maybe watched the cat one.
Yeah, Cat Fingers episode.
Yeah, which you said was Cronenbergian.
Yeah, it was quite correct. We watched it tonight. I thought it was quite. I thought it held up.
Yeah, I think on its own terms, it's like a fine little story. I think like going back on the whole lore of Steven Universe, it doesn't really make any sense at all.
Yeah, I think maybe they came up with the idea for that episode. It almost feels like a pilot, the way that it doesn't quite fit with the.
I mean, it's one of those like in shows they generally come up with like a menu of cool ideas that they sort of like go, oh yeah, in this you can do this, with this you can do that, and they probably came up with the idea of like, oh, the gems can shapeshift.
Yeah,
that makes sense. But then, like as you start building the world out a little bit, you find that the things that all of the things that you had ideas for don't. Some of them work together, and some of them work against.
It's like the time turner in Harry Potter. Well, it's a cool idea for one book, but it kind of breaks the universe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not breaks the universe, but it definitely didn't work. Yeah, they obviously didn't keep up with that. It's like a lot of Rebecca Sugar stuff. Like she's a bit like just because she's a woman, but she's a bit like Harry. What's her name? J.K. Rowling. In that she does the emotional bits, but she doesn't really have a good
the drama.
She's not that good or interested in the actual plot. Well, what happens when you introduce this kind of idea, or like she doesn't think that through. She's kind of like she wants. Oh, I want this to happen.
There's no Enterprise manual for Steven Universe.
No,
I mean, the Star Trek universe hangs together that well on close inspection either.
No, but there's people involved there that would try to do that, whereas I don't think she's even interested in that.
Okay, so let's take it back. What year was Steven Universe created? I should have looked this up. I want to say something like 2014, 2013, around the end, at the end of Adventure Time. Last season
it was well
past the peak of Adventure Time.
Yeah.
One of the creators one of the animators and creators, character designers who worked on Adventure Time, which is a really popular show at the time on Cartoon Network, Rebecca Sugar. She was the first woman who was offered her own show on Cartoon Network, and they asked her to pitch a show. She wanted to make a show about her brother Steven, and that is how she came up with the idea of Steven Universe. And I found Steven Universe through watching Adventure Time songs on YouTube, and I was recommended. The YouTube algorithm has been responsible for so many of my things that I love in my life. And it recommended a song from Steven Universe called Giant Woman, and I liked the song. It's a Rebecca Sugar song. Her characters, her song, the plot, story, it intrigued me into the universe. I watched another one called Strong in a Real Way. These are 2 songs from season 1 that are really good. And I thought, wow, this looks really good. I want to check out the show. Rebecca Sugar worked on it. I'm excited.
I mean, it was a thing, yeah. Adventure Time. And lots of cool things about Adventure Time.
I was 19 at the time, by the way. This was,
I think. Yeah.
I was at university. I was the target demographic.
Skipping forward, yeah. I don't know. You were the target demographic, but you ended up being
who it appealed to.
The appeal demographic, what the term is.
Yeah, and I was dating you at the time. We were having a long distance relationship where I was watching TV shows to fill the void of not having a boyfriend around. You were 100 miles away, and I told you I was like 10 episodes into the show that I thought was quite good. I think I watched the first 20 episodes, and I was starting to think that the show was actually quite good. And I sent you a list of about 5 episodes that I thought were especially good out of that 20.
Were you there when I was watching the Cat Fingers episode?
I think you might have watched it. You might have been visiting, but
yeah.
Including the Cat Fingers was the first episode where I thought, like, this show is good. I want to watch the rest of this. Like, the songs got me interested, but the Cat Fingers like really hooked me in. And it's interesting because it's got that season 1 feel of like these are fresh new ideas. Steven is completely incompetent, irritating kid. You just kind of want to punch him most of the time he's on the screen. But it is kind of fun to watch him figure out his powers, which is a lot of season 1. Every episode is about Steven finding out something new about gems, about himself, about his powers. It's all very much like magic, combat, adventure based.
Well, I mean, Steven Universe season 1. It's like, well, when you're watching it for the first time fresh, back in 2014, you start to, it's got that. It's kind of easy now with serial. It becomes obvious. It becomes to hint at serialization, that there's like a bigger story.
Yeah, it's got that like X-Files mix of Monster of the Week. Like, you can just pick up one episode and watch it. You don't need to know any of the story before or after. But if you keep watching it, you pick up more and more clues about something larger going on. At the end of the season, you get a final like big plot climax of everything that's been building up to
this
is
like the thing about serialization
you tell I'm the YouTuber and you're the
in stories is it's a really easy crutch for hacks.
Yeah.
In that, because there's a hint of a larger story, when you're watching it, you're going like, oh, it's not that good now, but this is set up.
No, I have a theory about fiction writing, and I'm something of a scholar of story structure and something of a fiction writer myself. And I don't think it's quite that. People think that they're anticipating enjoyment when they get this set up. Like, mysteries like are intriguing, and you go like, "Oh, this is going to be really good when I find out what it is later." But actually, it is good if it's like a satisfying conclusion, and you really do get like a great story beat, like a good drama plot point. But actually, the intrigue itself is a bit of an art form. It's a bit hack, like you say, like
J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams does it. Like, he's really good at like teasing you with like, oh, that's a really good hook for something that might happen later.
I don't mean,
not everyone knows.
Well, the J.J. Abrams game is that he continually layers on top of, not on top, but like like this. So you get the tease before the tease reveal comes around.
You've already been
teased. The new tease. So when it's disappointing, you're already invested in the next tease.
Yeah.
And so like, you don't actually, it's until like you look back and think about all the different things and you realize
ended up being nothing.
None of that shit went anywhere. Yeah. But anyway, Steven Universe. Like, there's a lot of filler, even in the first season.
I like the filler. Okay, I'm gonna go back and I've got a list of things here to talk about. I fully appreciate that most of the people watching this haven't seen it, won't see it, and probably have a very negative opinion of it if they know anything about it. And I want you to know that all of the criticisms people have about Steven Universe are completely accurate. I'm not here to deny anything. All of the criticisms you've heard of Steven Universe are true. It's feminist, degenerate, it celebrates LGBT, being fat. It's got weird sexual elements that are really not appropriate for children, weak male characters. It's got very wonky animations at times. And the fan base is just complete toxic, awful. Like, everything bad about My Little Pony or any cartoon kids show. Like, it's the worst of all of the fan bases you've ever heard of. And I think the fan base is mostly made up of teenagers like me who liked going on Tumblr. I mean, that's me. It's literally me. But you can imagine
female.
Teenage girls who are into anime and Harry Potter.
Have you ever seen the breakdown of Steven Universe? And there's any like
Any
Percentage,
dating?
yeah,
Well, I've been to the. I went to an anime convention in a Steven Universe costume when I was what 22,
yeah,
and to
cringe.
see the fans there, it is like Tumblerinas. What was the word?
Yeah, I think that was the term back in.
Teenage girls with dyed hair and colourful t-shirts who are holding up signs that say "free hugs."
Yeah,
It was very like of its time, and I was never like really deep into it, but I did enjoy Steven Universe, and I did go on Tumblr, so I can't say that it wasn't me because it was literally me. Um,
yeah,
I
we've seen this video.
Yes. Thank you to Hunger the Dye Merchant for $5. Steven Universe's deeply subversive ER has an excellent video on this. Yes, you don't have to recommend it. Everyone watching this, go ahead and watch it. I think the ER is, like I say, all the critics of this show are completely correct. Most of their criticisms mostly apply to season 2 onwards. Obviously, the rot start like there's foreshadowing of how bad the show would get in season 1, but I'm a diehard fan of season 1 and some of season 2 of Steven Universe. I think has got very solid. I've written down here things I like about Steven Universe. Everything good I have to say about this show is about season 1 and some season 2 episodes. I will not defend anything past that point. It's all
I
quite
mean, you
bad.
still watched
Everything's
it. I
true.
mean, I was.
I watched all of it because it's like you want to see how it turns out. You want to find out the story, and you want to see like what did they do to my boy, you know.
I
But
mean, it went on for all. What was the last season?
three,
Season 6 or 5.
yeah, something
Kept
like that.
dragging
And
on.
they had a movie. The movie was kind of redemptive. Like it was quite. It had some good elements at least. They brought back an actual plot instead of just the like fan service that they really overrated the fan service from seasons 2 onwards. Okay. What have I written down? Okay, first of all, this is my like list of apologetics. First of all, it's not a children's show. They make it look like a children's show because the main character is a little boy. It's on Cartoon Network. It's a
And
cartoon.
they aim it at children.
It's ostensibly aimed at children, but really that was not the demographic that particularly enjoyed it. I don't think little boys will enjoy this show. I wouldn't want my kids watching it. We put on one of the episodes that I knew was okay for our daughter earlier because we were preparing for the stream. But I really wouldn't want her watching like quite a lot of the show. It's got like adult themes. I don't mean like sexual. There is a
Yeah,
hint of sexualization, but I don't
there's
just mean
more than a
that. It's
hint.
like it's like overly like there's a lot of like trauma and comfort and like just a lot of dark elements. Like even that Cat Fingers episode, like that. What I liked about it when I first started watching it is it has got these like slightly dark elements, like there's some sort of body horror. Cat Fingers is an episode, by the way, where Steven he's only just discovering that he's got shapeshifting abilities, but he can't control them, and he ends up turning himself into like a writhing mass of cats. Like his
Yeah,
different body
it's
parts all start turning into
it's
cats.
very fly like.
It's the
It's like
fly, but like it's really cartoonized. Where he's got these really cute cats that are like quite cute, but like because his body is turning into cats and it's a
yeah,
cartoon.
it starts with
And
fun and then it becomes like pure body horror.
it's a good escalation to the point where it's really quite
I don't know if
disturbing.
Rebecca Sugar actually even wrote that episode because it really doesn't gel with style.
She's not a complete. She has like a lot of help.
Yeah,
The writers, a lot of the first season isn't written by her. Characters are by her. A lot of the songs are by
I
her.
mean, usually executive producers vet stuff. Like they have a better, tighter control over things. They don't. They make sure that everything that
Okay.
goes through is in tone. But it feels like she wasn't that great a showrunner.
Whatever the target audience was that they were trying to aim it for, I think the show was really popular with Adventure Time fans who had grown up a bit. So, in the same way that The Legend of Korra captured the Avatar fans who were now like 5 years older, this was like
In theory,
this was like people who really liked Adventure Time. It had like a lot of that Adventure Time DNA, but for like slightly old. It ended up being like the slightly
yeah. I mean,
older,
she
slightly
was
more
she was
feminine
running
fans.
Adventure Time for a good long chunk of time.
Running it. She was like one of the writers.
No, she was running it. It was her and that other guy. Pendleton
Okay.
Ward like dropped out after season 1, even though
Okay.
his name was still on it. Um,
So this is not for children. This is not for probably most of the people watching this. But if you are a fan of anime, and particularly if you like magical girl animes, like animes that are for maybe not for girls, but about girls, like that kind of um, school comedy, adventure, magical stuff. Like this, Steven Universe, I think is actually a really solid show. For it, I'm talking about season 1. Is good for people who are into that kind of thing. Yeah, really, nothing good after season 2. It's not for boys. I've got the songs are all really good. I love I listen. My main interaction with Steven Universe has been listening to the soundtrack. So the show hasn't been good for ages, but I still like every few months I'll come back and listen to all the songs because I really enjoy the sounds like that, and the songs are incorporated into the story in very satisfying ways that really enhance the story. Like whether it's just like a cute little character moment or it's like a moment of high drama and the plot really coming together, like an action song kind of thing. They're all really well done. I enjoy it. I listen to the entire soundtrack, don't skip a single one. Actually, that's not quite true because I don't like the one where Steven forms a band with his alternate timeline selves. He finds like a device that basically does time travel. It's kind of like Looper, like there's a few different Stevens running around and they form a band together. That's another dark one where he ends up, in order to reset the episode at the end, they don't go back to their other timelines. They all just die. Steven has to kill all of his alternate timeline versions of himself, who he was in a band with. And anyway, they have.
Yeah. I thought I'd seen most of the show, but
you've seen all of it.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. Was that
a good episode? Yeah, but again, it's quite dark. Not for children. I've got another super chat from DRT for $5. Thanks so much. Uncle Grandpa crossover was shockingly good in comparison to both shows. I hate that episode. I hate Uncle Grandpa. I didn't know what I was. I've never seen Uncle Grandpa, but the crossover episode was enough to put me off because I was not a fan. Never a fan. More of a My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic fan of that era. Yeah, I was in that. That was another part of sort of a previous era. Friendship is Magic. Yeah. That whole fad came before Steven Universe. It's almost like the mirror. I wrote it down actually. It's like the Mirrorverse dark side of the My Little Pony fandom, which is mostly like men and boys who thought it was funny to like My Little Pony. If you don't know about that, watch Jenny Nicholson's video about it. She did a whole breakdown. It was excellent. But like the reverse of that were these. I think a lot of young women like Steven Universe. A lot of the kind of supernatural, Doctor Who, what do you call it? Harry Potter fans. Yeah. That I think you get if you've been on the internet for more than 10 years, you'll know
there's a certain type.
It's a type. Yeah, that was very much appealed to that type. Yeah, good song. Songs are especially, I've got to say. I like the animation. It is like a lot of the character designs are kind of ugly. Like there's a lot of characters who are kind of short and fat, and they like really not very like Steven himself, just a completely punchable kid. Like you kind of just want to bully him. Not good to look at. I like a lot of the other character designs, and the backgrounds, which are designed by Rebecca Sugar's brother. He does all the background art for Steven Universe. He's like the basis of the character for Steven, and he's also like works on the show. I love his background.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine a real person like it. I mean, Steven himself is just.
But like she's remembering him when he was a kid, and the show. Oh, so I should say, like the heart of the show is that Steven is being taken care of by these 3 alien lesbian mother figures, who have like contrasting personality. You've got the uptight ballerina mum. You've got the kind of carefree, immature, fun mum, and then you've got the all-powerful, like slightly scary mum.
I don't definitely. I mean, I haven't fully rewatched it or anything, but the thing that really struck me from revisiting it for a little bit is just like the kind of gross concept of his biological father dumping him off with these 3 mentally unstable women. And there isn't any. Maybe it's in the pilot, an explicit reason why he has to be with them and why it's like you'd think that Stephen would be pretty traumatized if he's been living with his father. You see, he dumps them off.
He lives in a van.
So he's been living with his dad for the last like for like the first 10 years of his life. Because the premise of the show is that he has to be explained all this stuff
Yeah, like he's just starting to
to.
get. I figured like he's just starting to get his
Yeah.
powers,
So
and like he needs gem.
he's been living with his father for like 10 years, first 10,
Yeah,
13 years of his life, however old he is. And then he just gets dumped off here.
I mean, he
And
lives
he's like,
down the road from his dad, and his dad lives in a van. So I think moving him into a house with some other,
I mean, so like, he's just, seems like that is the exact, like at that stage of his life, he should be,
he should have father.
he
Yeah,
should have a strong father figure, is far more important. But it's just,
and his dad's very much active in his life. I know what you mean. Like
he's kind of taking them around.
The core of the show is like, oh, there's this boy and he has gem powers and he goes on adventures with
Well, I
these
think
gems.
that's kind of like a sugar thing. Like she wants to do that, but she didn't think out like, what does that mean? That means his dad has left him, abandoned him. There's no, I can't remember any trauma episodes about that. I mean, that's the other thing about Rebecca Sugar is like she's got like two emotions that she likes, and she ends up just going back to them.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she just loves that catharsis, even if it doesn't make any sense. So like towards the end of the show when they end up like saying that Nazis are cool or whatever it is, like the
Let's say that on YouTube.
those
It's sensitive.
the the diamonds are like genociders or maniacs, but like every single problem could be solved. Stephen likes people with a hug and a kiss
Yeah,
and crying.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
No, like they kind of abandon the whole like adventure, fun, like combat side to the show because it was almost like they abandoned the idea that any conflict can be resolved with action and
I mean, they
fighting.
still have it, but the resolution that's always like not the correct way to do things. The correct way to do
Yeah,
things
it's
like
the hug.
Steve realizes that like it's
Oh no,
okay.
you're just mean because something bad happened
Yeah,
to you, and it's okay, and let's hug it out, and it's all going to be all right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really crap. Like the, I like, yeah, totally agree, completely. But I think the in the first season, there's a lot of character dynamics, and a lot of catharsis. That's not just that. There's characters who don't get on. There's the episode we were just watching, the strong in a real way, where the conflict is that Stephen starts looking up to um I'm not going to go into the whole lore of it, but he starts looking up to this really strong, kind of destructive character who's really huge and can do a lot. And he's a little boy, so he thinks that's really cool to be big and strong, and he tries to get buff and like put on muscle to be strong. And Pearl, who's one of his
but I
mother
think
figures,
that's
like wants to like inspire him to be like decisive and intelligent and like show him that being strong is like more
yeah,
than
but
just
I would
being
say
big.
that is just. I mean, in season one, it's less obviously tired at that point.
Yeah, season one, like, I don't know.
Is what that you find out that's literally going to be almost every episode is that kind of plot comes back and back and back with like some kind of like somebody needing to improve themselves in some way.
I think that's a completely legitimate way of telling stories. It's like
Yeah, you can have that, but
you have some action, you have some character
it feels
moments.
like there's four stories and they just rotate through them with different characters.
Hmm.
Like at a certain point, it just feels like you're just it's like an AI generated Steven universe at that point.
I mean, I'm bored of it. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a woman and I just like
Yeah,
I enjoy that catharsis. And I'm not saying that anyone who doesn't like it should watch it, but
no,
I
I
think
can
what it was
see.
doing, I think it was doing it well.
No, I think Steven Universe is a little bit like women porn or whatever. It's sort of like that's hyperstimulant.
Yeah,
It's it's twinging the like that sad
that nerve.
emotional thing. Go like, women like this kind of emotional catharsis. So they,
Yeah, well, you make it sound like I like that when I felt like it was well incorporated and there was other stuff going on and there were cool adventures and cool powers and cool fights going on. I enjoyed all of that mixed together as a nice salad. When they started doing that nerve twitching,
yeah,
like just push the catharsis button, I really hated the show after that point. So I
I
don't
watched it. It hated that
but
much.
I enjoyed it enough. Like that was what really drew me to the show when it was mixed in with other stuff that I also was enjoying.
Yeah, I mean a lot of it's okay to repeat yourself somewhat in a show, but I think if you just can't repeat yourself too much,
Hmm.
and that can't be the only thing you're doing. Like in the first season, or at least earlier on in Steven Universe, there's probably a richer mix of revealing the bigger world, the serialization stuff.
Yeah.
It's a little because you've no idea what the bigger world is. It's
Well,
kind of intriguing and like yeah, Steven's awful character in the first season could have been, or you could think that it's going to be redeemed. Like he's going to he's back.
Yes, he becomes like self-righteous and irritating after the first season, but it starts with like Stephen is extremely whiny, immature, over emotional. A lot of people have a problem with this character. Like he's extremely irritating, and a lot of the characters are actually irritated by him. This isn't like an accident. He was designed to be over childish so that he could mature through the show. And I think in the first season, something I really enjoyed, right at the end, you have this like really big plot point, and some actually really like big things happen. It's not like Goofy Adventures anymore. We've got the season finale, really dramatic stuff happening, some great sort of plot revelations, like you're on like twists, and right after that, when Steven like just discovers that the world he's in is actually really dangerous. The episode right after that is the first like big step that Steven takes in growth, which is that he decides that he has to break up with his girlfriend because the life that he's living is too dangerous. He doesn't want to include her in that because he doesn't. It's a really like overly used plot point for a superhero to
I was don't think
put that away.
Really holds up at all.
What the idea of it?
In the context of the larger story, again, if you think about it, the threat there is no threat to Stephen. There's a threat to the world, and specifically that town.
Yeah,
where his love interest lives.
Yeah.
So really, what is he protecting it from? There's no like they're not going to come after him more. They don't care. They want to destroy the Earth. That's the premise.
Well, they're going to destroy him. I mean, he's going to like
the premise of the show. The Gem Empire is going to come and destroy Earth.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, you're right. The forces is more important than the actual.
It's more that she wanted to write an episode where Stephen was conflicted and had to sacrifice.
Yeah, like he wanted to actually put someone else's interest before his own.
She wanted that emotional moment.
Yeah,
but there isn't actually a logical reason why that situation would be happening.
Yeah, I think you are correct. But I think that the emotional moment was pulled off very well, and so I don't even care.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's women for you.
It's like when I had a friend who he was really outraged. He told me I was watching this porn last night, and this couple were like flirting in a bathroom, and then there was just a bed there, which they had sex on. Like, isn't that outrageous? Like, he was like outraged that they had, it's the same thing. Like that in a porn, if you need to have sex, then you can just have a bed there.
Yeah, well, that's why I said that Steven Universe is like.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
but I enjoy it.
They're just skipping to the So
yeah.
We spend like
something emotional conflict. Yeah. We got £10 from Alice Liddell. Could you review Metropolis, 1927? Also, couldn't believe Stephen was able to have a girlfriend. It's like a cliche of women saying, "I like a man to be sensitive, kind, and funny." Yeah, I think Stephen. What Connie like? Yeah, he was incompetent and stupid and irritating, but Connie liked him because he's fun.
Was that it? I can't remember the.
It does legitimately look like they're having a good time, and he's not being completely over emotional and irritating around her. So I could at least buy it for what it is.
Was there an episode where?
It's an episode where he's just hanging out on the beach. I think he goes to say hello to her, and that's the first time that like some rocks are about to fall, and he panics, and his gem powers activate the bubble around him, and the bubble also encompasses her. But because he's never like activated this power before in his life, and he doesn't know how to stop the bubble, so they just bubbled together for this episode.
Right, that's very convenient.
Yeah, gets a girlfriend out of it, but just friends, like because they're kids. Like,
how old is she going to be?
I think she's the same age.
Even like weirdly old. Because you can check.
13 at the beginning, and you don't find that out until like halfway through season 1. He has a birthday and turns 14. And at that point, there's a joke where Connie says, like, I can't believe you're older than me. Like, because she's like 2 inches taller than him.
Yeah.
And she's more mature than him. He's a complete wreck. He kind of acts like a 2-year-old.
Yeah, but he looks, acts, and talks like somewhere between 9 and 10.
Yeah, but he's 13, and then he turns 14.
I mean, I don't know where they were going with that.
I think they just wanted him to be like in more adult situations, like to be.
This is just another one of those things where like he was written as like 10, and then they go like, well, I want him to start doing more adult stuff.
Yeah,
that's too young, so we're going to establish that he's 14. And because they do explicitly say that he does look. He's
surprised that he's 14.
He's just like because he can shapeshift or whatever.
Yeah,
I think this is a total retcon on their part, but like because he is a gem and he can shapeshift, he's restricted himself to looking like a 9-year-old, even though he's 14.
Yeah, well, it's like could be shapeshifting himself to be younger.
I think they say that. Does he have an episode where he like ages up?
Yeah, that's the episode. So he has a birthday, and everyone's surprised that he's 14 because he looks about 9 or 10. Okay. And then he starts to like get panic and think that maybe he's too small, or maybe he's holding himself back on purpose or something. And he tries to make himself bigger, and he keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh, does he get older in that episode?
I think he gets older. That's it. Yeah, he gets older and older.
Did he turn into a baby or
something like that? There is an episode where he's a baby, but that's like a flashback.
Yeah. Okay.
Later.
Do you want to address this? You're going to commit to watching Metropolis 1927?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as a super chat, we've got to watch the thing they tell us to. But I do want to watch Glengarry Glen Ross as well, which is also suggested.
Well, we've seen that.
Yeah, well, we can talk about it.
Okay.
Have you got anything to say about Glengarry Glen Ross?
We're talk about Glengarry Glen Ross instead.
In this one. Yeah. We can decide which order we do them in.
Yeah.
We might get some guests on for Glengarry Glen Ross as well. I think Birdie would like it.
It's a classic.
It is a classic.
Did somebody who's seen it?
You've seen it?
I mean,
I don't know I don't know which of the women have seen it. I'm gonna put my bet on none of them.
Yeah, that's not a very female.
They're not a very genre savvy lot, to be honest. That's kind of the enjoyment of when I can get them to watch something, to get like that perspective for people who've never seen.
It's surprising that none of them have seen Master and Commander.
Yeah, that was a weird coincidence, I think. Or the thing about Women's Hour panel is that they all have significant others who are like autistic right-wing Twitter personalities.
Yeah.
So it's not that weird that they would have watched Master and Commander, which is like famously popular with autism.
Is it famously popular?
Is there anything? I think it's for being popular autistic men.
I mean, the age group that have seen it are probably like, it peaks in sort of the mid-30s, late 20s kind of thing.
Your dad said he watched that live stream I did about Master and Commander.
Yeah.
He said he didn't care for it. The live stream, he didn't like Master and Commander the movie.
No, Dad likes to have contrarian opinions about everything.
Okay. That's my list. I was just, a lot of what I've written down is just more complaining about season 2. I completely disavow Stivoni. I think it's creepy and weird, and like none of the Stivoni episodes are good. This complete Stephen fuses with his friend Connie, which is kind of weird because they're both like basically children, and fusion is like often like, if you've ever watched Dragon Ball Z, you understand fusion. Like you get two characters and they become one character.
It was completely, I would say, ripped off because it's such a direct.
They dance. They even do a fusion dance.
Yeah,
it's like a major homage, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a clear, direct lifting.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I feel, dare I say, emotionally conflicted about it, because something I like about the fusions. I like the concept. It's like a fun concept. It was fun in Dragon Ball Z, and it works in this. I like that you get like a new character who's like kind of like both of the characters who you already know well.
I mean, it's very.
I like the dance that they do. That the music in Steven Universe, like I said, not just the songs, but the score that's written for Universe is good. The dances they do are good.
I don't think it was done cynically for this reason, but it definitely is something that's.
We need to sell toys.
No, it's something like, it's real like fan fiction.
Yeah, it really is complete fan service.
Well, it's not fan. It's like a fan. It's not, fan service is when they actually do those things, but it's like fan, like giving you the tools. It's kind of like, okay, in this universe, you can mix any set of characters you like, So it's basically every character that appears.
Yeah, you can come up with
whatever your favorites are. You can make a fusion of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you also get the fan speculation about will he fuse with this one?
Yeah, basically, yeah, exactly.
It's yeah.
And then I clapped.
And they do. The thing is, they do turn it into fan fiction where you basically go through they like have a spreadsheet with every single. Well, yeah, the cardinal. What's the name of the cardinality?
I don't know.
I think there's a mathematical term where like you have matched pairs.
Mm.
You've got two lists and you have every single combination of the lists. So they basically just go through that list. They go like this character merged with this character. So character A merged with character B. Character A merged with character C. Character A merged with character D. They pretty much go through almost every single permutation.
And yeah, by the end they do, because you can't just you can fuse more than two. You can fuse as many fusions.
So I mean,
gems. So there's a lot of permutations to get through, and each of them has like their own name, personality, like their own weapon, which is like a fusion of the two weapons that the character uses.
Yeah,
which is cool. Steven's shield and Amethyst's whip combine into a yo-yo, which I thought was really creative and cool, like a really big yo-yo she uses to like.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they really Stephen is like the two female characters fuse and they make a big giant woman, hence the song Giant Woman. But when Stephen, who's male, fuses with one of the female characters, they become like a non-binary, which really like started like exciting the like LGBT audience.
Oh, Stephen. When they make Stevonnie, like
Stevonnie is like a not like he's basically like a Stevonnie's a teenage girl, but people use they them pronouns for her, and in season 2 or 3, Stevonnie like starts growing stubble when they're fused for so long.
Cartesian products, see?
That's it.
Thank you, distributors.
Dave's watching. he promoted this stream on Twitter. I can't believe he was actually watching it.
We obviously love Steven Universe.
He was very upset that I like Steven Universe, but he did say that that I have the best female vlog on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
that was very kind of him. I felt very touched.
Great praise.
Yeah. Is there anything gay wedding? I wrote down completely embarrassing, and like one of the latest plot points they had. Not like a fight or a battle or like an exciting plot element. They just had like more than one episode dedicated to two of the female alien gem characters getting married.
Pandering.
It was pandering, fan service, completely embarrassing. Disavow. I hate that. Because I mean, it's in universe.
The premise is that they are permanent fusions, which is permanent fusion is a weird metaphor between
kind of like
children. You're having a child with somebody, and also marriage.
I never thought of it as having a child, but it is. Yeah, like
they literally have Stephen ends up being a child of. Yeah, although it's not a fusion. Well, it's a fusion, isn't it? Because it's meant to be a fusion of Greg and him, kind of.
It's like Greg is Greg, so he never fused with anyone.
Yeah, no, but doesn't Greg fuse with Stephen? You said.
It's just completely embarrassing and weird, but yeah. So
there's no irritation. Is that like, even though they've got all these Cartesian products of gems to work through, they have to introduce the idea that the humans can fuse with him.
Yeah,
like there's not enough different combinations. They're so lazy that they've got to use that crappy, hack.
That well, yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of other fusions they could do, but they can't even. They go, oh, who else could you fuse with? Because there's a few characters that aren't gems. Yeah. Instead of going, well, we just can't fuse with them, we have to think of another kind of story. They just go, well, he can just fuse with them.
No, embarrassing. It's
the marriage one. These people have already been fused. They've already done, metaphorically, you could say they're already gay married.
Yeah.
Or whatever the
decision to go through this earth ritual to make the decision to do it right. Between marriage and cohabiting, where you just start living with someone who you don't like that much, and then you end up like basically married to them without the actual contract. And these two characters decided that even though they've been fused for a very long time, they never separate. That they want to like make it a conscious commitment. Yeah, I'm not defending it. It was stupid. I'm just trying to explain it to you because you didn't watch it properly.
I didn't. I just think, isn't it enough just to have the very veiled metaphor of fusion?
Yeah. No,
Is
obviously,
that
yeah.
like, yeah, we get it. Like they're a planet of lesbians. When the lesbians get really in love, then they become one lesbian.
Yeah.
But no, they can't. Like, it's not enough. Then they have to unfuse, get formally
Yeah,
married,
yeah. It was
and then
really
you fuse.
it was embarrassing. I hated it. Let's move on. I'm sure I had something to hit on. I think to defend the story, I think that the overarching story about Stephen, about Rose, and the revelation of all of the past that happened before Stephen was born, that he was too young to know about all this stuff, which is why he has to learn about past slowly because he's still very young. The gems want to introduce him to gem lore, like gradually while he's learning his powers. That's like I think that's a really good story writing technique for and they execute it well in season one. Builds up to a really good story, plot, moment, revelations. Oh, so good! I love it. Season one, brilliant. There's more story. I think that the actual story they were going for with Stephen and what happened to his mum, why she had to become Stephen, the war, this thing that they just called like the Gem War that they allude to that Stephen like isn't old enough to know about, so we never, as the audience, hear about it either. It's a big tease, and or like they're like teasing the fan theories were going on at the time. I was not like really in the community, but I I think the actual I defend the story. I think I actually really like the elements that they were going for, like even if they executed it terribly, I like that. If people who are watching this who haven't seen the show won't get this at all, but Rose Quartz becoming like taking the final like sacrifice and becoming human so that Gem and human could like properly integrate. Like that's I think that's what they were kind of going for, was that Stephen would be the bridge between the human and the gem world by being both.
Well, at least there is a better, when you compare it to what they did with the diamonds, considering they set up the diamonds commit genocide and they commit genocide multiple times on different planets, isn't it?
Yeah, they
One empire, they go to a planet and take over it. Everyone
they go to is like Earth. Like Earth
yeah,
is the first place, arguably, where there actually is something worth preserving, for all we know.
I don't know. It seems like they weren't like particularly surprised about Earth and were like, "Oh, this is weird."
Rose was.
Rose was.
But yeah, but the really the worst thing that the gems did was not trying to kill humans, which was justified when they thought that the humans were just like an algae that was just the Earth. Yellow Diamond did nothing wrong, but no, like I can understand where they were coming from. They thought that like humans were just like insects, like they didn't know what they were doing potentially. But when they went into the war, it was like they were killing their own kind. The gems who fought for Earth, that was a real genocide. They killed like millions of gems who tried to defend Earth. That was the cluster inside the center of Earth
Yeah.
with all those like writhing souls in there, like with shattered gems. They knew exactly what they were doing when they killed those gems in the war, and Rose knew about all of it, and that's I guess getting into the indefensible territory, and really they pulled off that like character redemption very badly. Uh, but I think like the on paper, you could imagine Rebecca Sugar sitting there writing it down, thinking like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if Stephen's mom was a war criminal and she really cared about Earth, but she made a lot of mistakes and she could never really get over the guilt, so she wanted to give up her life so that Stephen could exist and become like the bridge between the worlds. Like I think that's a really cool idea. I like how it was done.
That it took 1,000 years for her to realize that until she met
Yeah,
Greg.
yeah.
It feels more of a selfish.
She was waiting for the right guy.
It was Greg.
I'm gonna do like a whole stream defending Greg because a lot of people talk shit about him because he's a slob and a loser. But I think he's got a really cool like attitude. I think he's like fine with being a slob and a loser. I think he's got his priorities right.
He's pretty much the only non-villain, non-bad, explicitly written to be bad male person in the entire show, isn't he?
There's a lot of like weak incidental male characters, like
Yeah.
Ronaldo and
There are no strong male characters in the entire show, apart from, I guess you could argue, when he dies. Which one is the one that dies and comes back?
I don't know.
The one with the earlobes?
Oh, Lars. Yeah, Lars is definitely
Because he gets killed and then he comes back as like a Captain Kirk.
but that was like a cool idea that was never really that actually fun.
Like the whole show.
Yeah, no, a bit like that. All the writing of the show, except for season one, which was good, and they actually was like good ideas executed well, in my opinion.
I mean, it was less good and it was more.
I'm thinking you'd like it. Obviously, it wasn't made for you. Like, I think it's something like only in a long distance relationship would you have watched as many episodes of Steven Universe in order to have something to talk to me about that I would be excited about. Only under those extreme circumstances would you watch more than 10 minutes of Steven Universe episodes.
I've watched a lot of bad. Yeah, like I kind of enjoy watching bad stuff as well. Like I don't. Oh yeah, I watch a lot of film. It's more on film end because at least films haven't.
You just watch a bad film every day.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was yeah, yeah. I think I'm not ripping this up. Yeah, they were talking about half the bag, and that was my attitude to films. Is that yeah, if you can watch a film, 90 minutes, it's over. Yeah, your commitment's done. If it's bad, you can appreciate. Go like, oh, they could have done this better. You'd be interested that film would have been better if they did this or did that. And you can kind of compare it to, oh, they're obviously ripping off this. It's kind of interesting. The trouble with TV is that it's potentially like 100, 200 hours of commitment before you can get to the end and understand whether it was even worth watching.
Hmm.
That's kind of a tangent.
We talked about this before,
But yeah,
and like TV show, I think it starts off good. Like somehow by miracle, you manage to make a good TV show. You've made a good like season of television, and then you're given a some money to make another season, and you think you might get another season after that, but maybe or maybe not. And you've got to write with the idea that okay, we used up all our best ideas when we were writing the first season because we didn't know if we'd even have a second season. And now we've got to continue all of our ideas, all of that setup. We've got to actually find, I think it gets harder and harder to write good shows. The people who do well on your show they're gonna try and go to other projects who want good writers. Like if you have good staff on your show, other people are gonna want them.
I think it's equally the way around in that if you've got a famous show, you attract talented people. I think the biggest problem was Rebecca Sugar just wasn't very good at running a show. She didn't, get together a decent staff. She didn't have a very solid commit idea about.
Absolutely, Bender, absolutely brilliant kids show. 10 out of 10. I love it. Like, what other kids shows are this good?
The other one, the
Bluey.
no, well, Bluey's better.
Yeah, true.
What was that? The one with there's triangle in it.
Peridot? What are you talking about?
The show with the triangle set in a park, where it's like weird, some Disney.
Sometimes you really don't know. You can't think of any better way to describe it than
It's got a little man that's got one eye and he's got a triangle and a top hat.
I don't know what you mean.
What have I said?
I know what you mean. Oh, there's Over the Garden Wall, and there was also Gravity Falls.
Yeah, Gravity Falls. Yeah,
Yeah, Gravity Falls. Yeah, okay. And Adventure Time. Yeah, okay. I don't like Gravity Falls that much.
so, yeah, like it was good. I think yeah. I don't think there's any. Yeah, Gravity Falls is very solid.
Season one of Adventure Time. Oh, sorry. Season one of Steven Universe. I'll take over Gravity Falls, in my opinion. But you're right. There are a few good. I was wrong. There are a few good TV shows to compare it to. Kids shows. We're not going to.
There's one ones I can barely think of.
Over the Garden Wall, absolute.
That is
show.
Yeah, that is
an Avatar
perfectly crafted show.
Yeah. Don't even tell me about any 3D animated stuff. I don't want to watch anything that's animated with a computer. My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic.
Yeah, Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack was good, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of good. There's loads of kids shows that I've heard
Okay,
decent stuff about.
we've gone for almost an hour. Do you want to talk about the subset of the Steven Universe community who think that Rebecca Sugar is a Nazi apologist?
Uh,
Earlier today, preparing for the stream, we watched a video
I
that
think they say
was
she's not. Well, kind of. I guess they did explicitly say that.
that they say that she's extremely problematic but in much like firmer terms than that. Where it's
I think she's similar to J.K. Like, there's another thing she's got in common with J.K. Rowling is that she'll just, she'll just stream of consciousness. Kind of that's she goes like, oh, what would this character sound like? What would this character sound like? The consequence of that is I'll merge them together, and it turns into an ape.
she's actually like there's like some racist bones in
No,
Steven Universe.
I'm saying she's probably like
She's tapping into like a low
internalized.
She's into okay. Well, I think you're crazy.
And she's really thinking like
Unintentional or intentional, you're still agreeing with those guys who think there's a problem with Sugalite. Oh, concrete.
what? It depends on what you mean by problem. I think it's. I say it's like some people. It's obvious that you're going to cause problems if you present the black coded characters as a gorilla.
it's like whatever.
It was gorilla like.
Yeah, the funny thing is that the fandom is so woke and insane that they think that Steven Universe is the most woke and insane TV show on TV. Steven Universe. They think that is like has got too much racism in it. I thought that was funny, but you think it's like it actually is some.
Well, I mean, it's when you've got any show that's hours and hours of content, you can fish through it to find whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find. Yeah,
basically,
obviously Rebecca Sugar was obviously working at capacity. She could not get out episodes. There was a huge production problem. She wasn't like thinking everything through, and like obviously the stuff in there that you can pick out. I think it was
it's not quite as bad as Cho Chang.
I don't know. Like,
well, I thought that like I watched. I didn't like obviously. I'm watching Steven Universe. The voice actors, the voice actor for Garnet is black. The voice actor for
Garnet is black.
Yeah, Garnet is black. Yeah, so Garnet and Amethyst are very like black coded characters. That's what they call it. Amethyst is actually voiced by an Asian woman.
Yeah, well, I always thought she was Asian. I mean, she's not as explicitly coded, basically.
Okay, she's not quite.
Latino. I think Latino. If you have to code her, it's like Latino /
Okay, well, there's like Asian. She wasn't a very white character. You could just say that.
Yeah.
But the fact that like there are these two women of color, they're not they're actually their skin doesn't have a tone, but and they don't have like an accent. But
Pearl's
very very white.
Pearl is as white as Garnet's black.
Yeah, but anyway, the point is that if you have a TV show or a book or anything that's got people of color characters, there's no way to do it perfectly that people won't have a problem with.
Yeah, I mean
you're either whitewashing or you're stereotyping.
That's one of the best things to do is like Veggie Tales or just have everyone animals. Even then, people still say like we're the POC Bluey characters.
I mean, that is a complaint they literally had on Bluey. Yeah.
But if you're doing that, it's like guaranteed. If you've got 100 hours of a show and there's black characters in it,
something about it's going to be wrong.
There's no way you're going to get away with that.
Yeah. And if you have an Asian character called Cho Chang, people think maybe.
Okay. You know a Jewish one called like
No, she can't. J.K. Rowling on Twitter when someone asked her. He was never in any of the books, but J.K. Rowling retconned the whole Hogwarts student body to include this Jewish wizard to call like he was called Zach Goldstein. What are some common Jewish names? Enter.
Zach Shekel Grabber.
Not on this show. This is a family-friendly stream. Okay. Yeah, that video was like extremely like it's like the person who made that, like Rebecca Sugar has like a race problem video, was like shockingly woke, but like shockingly talented. Like I thought that video was very well made. I thought the script was like kind of almost like funny and charming. Like that video criticizing Steven Universe was kind of like Steven Universe in the sense that it was made by woke morons, but actually ended up being surprisingly good because they had talent. So I link it in the description. I don't think anyone's going to be interested enough to watch it.
I mean, it's one of the top things that comes up when you search for like bad Steven Universe.
It wasn't like someone, what the like woke people usually do, which is just to record themselves screeching in their car. And I kind of got the impression that people with terrible opinions just don't have enough cognitive ability to make good criticism. But that's the bread tube.
I mean, I think you're overhyping it. It was just a standard video essay.
Well, I thought they made their points well, even if they're wrong. I think they edited it well. It was like it was weirdly compelling, where I really wanted to watch the whole thing, even though.
I know you watched like 20 minutes of it.
Second time I watched it.
I was
years ago when it first came out.
Where was that one? I think you said it was different.
I watched it.
Okay.
Steven Universe and this video both were fall into the category of like completely disagree with the creators, but credit to them, they got some talent. I appreciate it. It's like watching ContraPoints. I watched the whole thing and I'll watch it again a few years later. Alright, that's an hour done. Anything
Lambda was there.
Yeah, thank you, Lambda, for turning up. And
although all of them were tea because they could all take polyjuice potion.
That's not what being tea means.
It's literally being tea.
Do you have anything else to say about Steven Universe? What is your favourite episode of Steven Universe?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's your favourite character?
Pearl.
Okay. I think that's a good answer. Pearl was the first character who fell into the crying and hugging
she only
thing.
On this fat or
gay. She's the gayest character.
No, remember that episode where we thought it was gonna she like falls in love with Greg?
Yeah, she was just like reconciling with him.
Yeah, it was, but there was
a bit of a sexual undertone of it.
I was surprised how close they got to making it look like she was falling in love to Greg. Like it was almost like
they danced together. So
like in shows where they tease lesbian relationships,
mm.
where they get like they don't actually consummate or anything, but they kind of like make the fans speculate. That episode was like the opposite, where it was like, will Pearl end up being?
There were a lot of people in the Steven Universe community on Tumblr who were very up. There's like the fan art controversies, but there was also shipping controversies where people who liked the Pearl Rose Quartz ship so much, they called anyone who shipped Pearl with a male character homophobic. And the people who were shipping Pearl with male characters called those people biphobic for saying that Pearl couldn't be bi. It was amazing. I got to see all of it. I did want to say about Steven. Probably this is going to be a theme that comes up in a lot of our reviews if we end up reviewing anime. But I think Steven Universe is as good a time as any to bring up something that I've said before on Women's Hour. But Steven Universe, for a young, healthy mind, for like a well socialized person with like normal levels of self, for me, people who are like, I'm not perfect. Like I had some like self-esteem issues. I've talked about it before. Like I definitely didn't have like a perfect adolescence, but for someone who's like basically well socialized and healthy mentally, stuff like anime and Steven Universe and online fandoms and even the most cringy stuff out there can be relatively harmless. But Steven Universe on a diseased mind is like drugs. It's a similar thing with drugs. It's like if you're a healthy person and you dabble in a little bit of something, it's probably safe. You're taking a little bit of Steven Universe, on a. But like,
I can handle it.
That doesn't mean that I don't really approve of Steven Universe existing as a product because I know that there's enough diseased minds out there that it's like
the
when it
Steven Universe
falls.
should be banned. You saying that?
Well, I don't like it's not
Controlled substance.
yeah. Look, you don't have to ban something. I don't want to like promote. Like I'm saying, like
That's why you did a stream about it.
I made a stream about it because somebody paid me money to, and that was my commitment.
Okay.
Yes, the Steven Universe won the Women's Hour auction.
What was the tone of that person? Did they want you to?
I'd like to see an episode talking about Steven
Who was
Universe.
this?
I think they might have been in the chat. Yeah, can we check? See what we've covered there. What they were asking about. Yeah, what I'm saying is like that's the thing that like when you say that you don't approve of something, you immediately get people going like, "Oh, are you saying it should be illegal?" No, I'm not saying it should be illegal. I'm just saying that like I don't approve of it, and I think that's like it doesn't mean it has to be encouraged. I'm not gonna promote it with my dollar. I'm not gonna. And I don't think you should either. It's like I like some things and I don't like some things, and it doesn't mean I want them to be illegal. It's just like Over the Garden Wall. I think that's something that should be in every child's home. I think that's a brilliant work of art that actually enriches the lives of people who watch it. Steven Universe is like there's a bit of both. Like you might find it a bit entertaining, a bit enriching, but also it's probably kind of like junk food for a female brain. So
yeah,
maybe better if more Over the Garden Walls get made and less Steven Universe in the future. That would make me happy. Is Over the Garden Wall Cartoon Network? Who made it?
Cartoon Network, I believe.
Okay, I'm just going to go back and see what Super Chat actually asked for specifically. I believe it was my Satanic Panic episode where we talked about it.
Can you just control F?
Can I control F? Let's find out. There we go. This person calls it Steven's Universe, which I think indicates to me. So it was Alice Liddell. Steven Universe would be an interesting to cover. The thinking cultural left embodied. I still like it though. Exactly, Alice.
I thought you paid £5.
Oh, she said sorry. I can't pay more. She did apologise.
Well, I thought you like.
Well, I didn't. Win. Yeah. Well, sometimes that's the exciting thing about an auction is that sometimes you get a bidding war and people pay more and more and more.
Bidding war for that one.
No, there was like no one. I think maybe I didn't. Sometimes when I do the patter about super chats, I don't know if that encourages the super chat to roll in.
Okay.
By the way, guys, if you want to see your favorite movie or TV show covered on this new not Women's Hour movie TV,
do you think it's fair?
Anime stream.
I mean, I thought the whole idea of Women's Hour was that that super chat Women's Hour they're paying for the women's to review it.
Well, I might get some women on here, but none of the women have watched Steven Universe, so that was not really an option. I thought better to have you on. He's someone who's actually watched it, who could be the like opposing interlocutor. So thanks for joining me.
Okay.
I think I just heard one of our daughters.
She's probably just rolling.
I think you should roll over, but I think it's a good time to end the stream either way. This is a new AV setup, if you can't tell. So let me know what you thought of the sound quality and picture quality. There's always someone who wants to complain about it.
Well, usually they complain before you ask it.
Yeah, in aggregate, we haven't watched it back. We have no idea what we sound like right now. Presumably you can hear us because people have been responding to what we've said, but sometimes you get like artifacts like turning my head this way would sometimes drastically drops the volume. So let me know if that's the case. That kind of thing. We've got from Alice Liddell says the second part of my name is pronounced like the shop Lidl. Oh, sorry, I didn't want to say it like the shop Lidl because I thought that would make it sound like I was calling you a supermarket. Okay, so Metropolis or Glengarry Glen Ross. I also want to talk about Columbo with you.
Yeah.
Sometime, maybe if we don't have another topic. This is something I've been planning for ages. Ever since I started watching Columbo with you, I've wanted to do a video about it because I love Columbo. Nothing political to say about it at all. Just a good show.
Well, I don't know. It's a good premise for a show.
Yeah.
There are some good episodes. I think there's more bad episodes than good episodes, but I think even it's elevated by the central premise and performance.
You're much more scientific about whether something is like good or bad, but I consider a show good if I want to keep coming back and watching it the next night. Like, we have dinner, we put on something to watch. If I'm still like, if I've watched a good episode, or like we watched it last night and I'm still up for watching it again tonight, I think that's a good show.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I would say overall, holistically, Columbo is a good show. It's just definitely in the new Columbo episodes, it feels a little bit cheaper, a little bit less special.
Kind of like treading the same ground.
We still try. I mean,
All right.
the Columbo excitement.
We'll talk about it in the Columbo episode when we run out of other recommendations. But
maybe we could finish Columbo. We get to all the way to Columbo loves the nightlife.
Is that the latest, the last one, the fifth folk moon? Yeah, if you want to send in a suggestion, otherwise it's going to be Glengarry Glen Ross and Metropolis coming up. Oh yeah, send in a suggestion for the name of the stream. That's what I wanted to say. I still haven't named what we're going to make our regular Monday night.
Well, it's Sofa Stream.
I don't like Sofa Stream. It sounds like Soda Stream. You know that
Sunday Stream.
Sunday Stream. It's not even a Sunday.
That's like ironic then.
Someone called it
Sunday somewhere.
Called it Couch Conversations.
That's better than.
I think it was Birdie's idea. I don't. Couch is very American though.
Yeah.
I don't like. I never ever say couch unless it's like a psychologist couch, which kind of makes it sound like we're going insane. So I'm kind of coming around to liking it again. Like we're so insane. We're talking to our psychologist about Steven Universe for
Maybe
an hour.
Maybe you could do a super chat and that person could name the show for that week.
Yeah. Thoughts on virtual reality and VR chat? I've played with virtual reality and I've played VR chat. VR chat I thought was full of weirdos and I didn't want to go back.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't like talking to people in real life, let alone randomers on the internet who are dressed as animals and anime characters. Alright, I've got a few more. I was checking the people who tagged me. Oh, okay. I'm going to read your comments. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And we'll see you on Friday for Whamming Hour. And I hope we'll see you next Monday for another couch conversation, or whatever we're going to call this, to be confirmed name. Have a good night, have a good week, and yeah, all of that.